The Elements of Harmony, and Savior of Worlds by Arcade Striker JK5. Epilogue. The sun had almost set during the journey back to Ponyville. The other side of Rainbow Dash trailed behind Celestia and Luna, while Twilight, Pinkie Pie, Applejack, and Rarity flew along thanks to telekinetic help from the Diarchs. The lights of Ponyville burned brightly as they approached, guiding them down. Main Street was almost overflowing with an impromptu victory party. Lights were strung up on poles, music was playing, and food had been set out. Everyone stopped what they were doing as the group descended and landed. The music stopped playing. More than a few dropped to one foreleg and bowed their heads down as Megan and Mike dismounted. Megan massaged her forehead. "I thought we had gotten a bit past this," she muttered. Mike looked himself over, then glanced at Luna, Celestia, and finally Megan. "You got 'em late, honey. We do look the part." Shining Armor strode forth and straight into attention. "Your Highness, Ponyville stands secure. We had some wounded, but no deaths here. I've received word from General Steele and Captain Blueblood about their situation, and all is well with them." He leaned forward a bit. "T-Rank, he's been defeated?" Before Celestia could speak, Twilight ran past her. "Shiny!" she cried out as he galloped up to him and threw her forelegs around his neck in a big hug. Shining Armor leaned into it and returned it. "Oh, I'm so glad you're safe, Twilight." Celestia chuckled. "We won, Captain." She raised a foreleg. "Ceremonies can wait for another day. For now, let's celebrate! You don't have to tell me twice!" A great cheer went up among everyone. The music started up once more, and the celebrants threw up hose and hands before resuming their activities. Fluttershy surged forth and flew right into Big Mac, landing next to him even as he ran into her. "Oh, Big Macitos, you're safe!" She threw her forelegs around him and kissed him. Big Mac returned the kiss. "Glad to see you're all right too, Flutters," he said, before kissing her once more. "Never taught her that one." Rainbow Dash bagged out, while Applejack tried up to Mike, and the two exchanged a glance and a nod. "Looks like I'll have to start setting another plate at the dinner table," Applejack said, smiling. Several of the ponies stepped aside as Danny, Molly, Danielle, and Michelle moved forward. Megan and Mike spotted them almost immediately and ran toward them. They threw their arms around Danielle and Michelle, hugging their children and crying. Megan let go and leaned back. "Oh, thank God you two are okay. Are you all right?" She looked them over. What were you two up to?" Michelle spoke up. "Well, we tried to leave the clubhouse with the other Crusaders, but this big blue bear's ambled up to us and started roaring." She held her hands up, fingers splayed out, and roared while stomping the ground. Mike let out a small laugh at his daughter's antics. "I'll think that might have been the same one your mother and I fought when this whole craziness started. How's you'll go away?" Mrs. Preston turned serious. "You didn't try to fight, did you?" Danielle spoke up. "No, we didn't, Dad. We couldn't do anything before this really cool unicorn named Trixie Little Moon ran out and fought it." She turned and pointed back at a group of foals gathered around Trixie and Spike. "She shot fireworks into his face, rained lightning down it, and teleported around." Michelle nodded. "She got tired, but Applejack came along and kicked apples into his face. We all ran off to the schoolhouse with the other foals, and Trixie put on a show for us with Lucy, that's Slinky's mother, and Spike. Plus Charlie, Carrot Top, Lyra, Raindrops." She swallowed. It kept our minds off of what was going on. Finishing each other's paragraphs. "God, they are siblings, aren't they?" Mike hugged Michelle again. "Well, I think I'm going to have to come over and thank Trixie." He started walking to the group, but stopped and went to Megan as she stood near Molly and Danny. "Coming?" Megan nodded. "Oh, sir. Just give me a second, Mac." She turned back to her siblings. "So, as cliched as it sounds, I had a dream, and you were there." She glanced at Danny, "and so were you. Question is, were you there?" Danny thought the fist against his leg. "Here's hoping Grand Bounty and Faust are right. I plan on signing up for dancing lessons back on Earth." Molly patted him on the shoulder. "We'll get you doing the Charleston before you know it." She clutched a hand over her mouth and yawned. "Oh, but first, I'll need to sleep for about 12 hours, she said, her shoulders slumping. Megan hugged her, then Danny. "We'll take a nice long nap back at the house," she said before breaking off and walking over to the group of foals. She stood beside Mike at the other ends of the group. "How's the show?" Mike tilted his head back and forth. "Not too bad, actually. I don't think she's using unicorn magic. Just sleight of hand. Or hoof in this case. Megan punched him lightly in the arm, but winced and shook at the impact with the plate armor. Trixie and Spike stood before the falls. Trixie held a pack of playing cards balanced on her hoof. Remove the top card, Spike, and show it to the audience, making sure I can see it. And then please slide it into the deck in some random location. Spike slid it off, then showed two clubs to the falls. Snips opened his mouth, but Scootaloo and Babble Bloom wrapped their forelegs around him, stopping him from speaking. Slake spit the card into the middle of the deck. Trixie nodded to him. Thank you! She tapped her horn. And now then, as you can see, no unicorn magic. She placed the deck onto the ground and slid off part of it with her hoof and flipped the card over. And now then, is this your card? Spike picked up the 5 of diamonds, then eyed Trixie. Nope. Trixie chuckled slightly. No matter. She slid another card from the deck. This? Well, how about this one? She placed the hoof to her chin before suddenly turning to the audience and gasping. She walked over to Dinky, looked over to her before reaching behind her horn and extracting a card. Is this it? She asked, holding up the 2 of clubs and waving about. Spike's eyes widened. Hey! That's it! How did you do that? No matter what the universe, you're going to be nice to Dinky, aren't you, Trixie? Trixie bowed slightly as the foal stamped the ground in applause. She walked back to him and leaned closely to him. A magician never reveals her secrets. She paused. Although I could teach them to you if you like. Really? Really, Trixie nodded. Spike patted Trixie on her shoulder. You know what? You're not all that bad. Thanks. Trixie winked to him. Was there any ever doubt? She held it to a hoof. Don't answer that. On a side note, I just want to let you guys know, on the Deep episode, remember there was a song called New Day? That has been playing through my head throughout this entire epilogue! Megan and Mike gingerly walked forward, stepping around the falls. Os Cayans, may we have a moment with Trixie? Megan asked the falls, waiting for their ascent before continuing forward. She and Mike stopped before Spike and Trixie. Trixie Lilimo? She asked, extending a hand. I'm Megan. This is my husband, Mac. Trixie gasped and dropped her head nearly to the ground. The magnate and the husband, Mike! Oh, this is a great honor. Spike held out a hand. Hey, what's up? He yelled to Trixie. Okay, now you're embarrassing yourself. Trixie slowly lifted her head. Yes, of course. She straightened up, keeping her eyes on Megan and Mike. What major I do for you? Anything you wish, and it shall be done. She half sighed, thrusting her forehoofs into the air. Megan chuckled slightly. I'll keep that in mind. But really, Mike and I just want to thank you for rescuing our daughters and the rest of the Crusaders. She extended her hand. Trixie looked at the hand before gently placing a foreleg in it. You're welcome, she said, blushing slightly. Mike continued. That took a lot of trucks, Trixie. Blanket and I faced off against an Ursa Minor before this whole mess started. He shook his head. That damn thing took a rifle shot to the face and a pistol to the flank. It was barely faced. Trixie shrugged. Truth be told, Trixie's flank got pulled out of the fire by Applejack's timely arrival. I was pretty scared back there. Spike hesitated a moment before reaching out and patting on her shoulder. Hey, you still fought it, just like you went before. If you did do that, then... Trailed off, swerving slightly. Trixie slowly went to him. Thanks, Spike, she said, smiling genuinely. Was there any doubt? She asked, smirking. Spike wanted to call. Hey, don't push it too far! Mike nodded. Listen to the Drake, Trixie. That was real bravery, right there. He looked at Spike. Hey, you know Twilight's back, right? Have you seen her? Spike's eyes shifted from Mike to Trixie back to Mike. I will, but Trixie and I wanted to make sure the falls were okay. Trixie's got something to say to Twilight, too, and I told her I'd be there when she does it. He pumped his chest and tapped it. And I'd never go back on my word! That reminds me of an old friend, Megan said. You do him proud. She looked at Trixie. Well, thank you again for your accents, Trixie. I'll see you later, okay? With that, she hugged Trixie before turning and walking off. Mike followed suit, sinking her foreleg and walking off. Trixie looked at her foreleg, eyes shining. I don't think I'll lost this leg again. Spike snoring, small jets of flame shooting out his nostrils. Oh, come on! Whoever getting worked up so over on the side of the face like that? Trixie's eyes narrowed. Does a Mr. Rarity Bell sound familiar to you, perchance? She smirked, her horn lit up. Perhaps we should tell the tale of true love. Spike threw his arms out and turned to the audience, which by now began getting antsy. Hey, who's up for more magic? Sleep Bell shot her hose in the air. Oh, I am! The rest of the folks joined in, shouting and stamping hooves on the ground. Trixie threw her forelegs in the air. A small burst of fireworks erupted right above everyone. Then what's in awe as the great and powerful Trixie, along with her assistant Spike the Strong, continue to entertain and amaze you! She dropped back down and looked at Spike. Up for one more round before I see Twilight and apologize. Spike nodded. Sounds like a plan, Trixie. And nice. Spike the Strong. He rubbed his chin. You think Rarity would go for that? Trixie raised an eyebrow. We'll work on it later. Celestia, Luna, and the princess ponies, along with the cleaned-up bush boys, stood near the Sugar Cube corner, eating cake and sipping cider. Although the occasional passerby would stop and bow, they were apart from the rest of the party, chatting quietly. Celestia glanced up as Rose Dust, Morning Glory, Sparkling Dawn, and Blazing Day landed. Your Majesty, Celestia said, bowing. Thank you for your help. Your actions today saved many lives and helped stop one of the worst evils in this planet's history. Rose Dust hesitated a bit before returning the bow. You're welcome, Celestia. It was gratifying to be able to help do something this time. She let out a sigh. It was nice to get out of the flare of Providence once in a week. The next time might be a bit longer coming, but they'll be more frequent. I'm sure you'll be seeing more flutter ponies and bumbles before you know it. We also have an emissary coming in a few weeks from the Breezy Lands. His name is, what was that again? Oh, Sea Swirl. I think you would like Sea Breeze. I think you would like him. Luna approached Morning Glory and her family and knelt down next to her. Morning Glory, how are you handling yourself? Morning Glory's head shot up. Oh, me? Well, I guess all right. She glanced at her husband and son. Am I all right? Sparkling Dawn nodded to her. You're getting better and better every day. Morning Glory eyed him. But... Blazing Day spoke up. Well, sometimes you get this faraway look in your eyes, like it was before Twilight Sparkle helped you. He kicked on the ground. And a lot's happened since, well, you know, that thing with Discord. You look confused a lot of times. I'm not sure how we can help, he said, looking down. It was a moment before Morning Glory spoke. She touched Blazing Day's chin and raised his head to look at her. Blazing Day, you and your father have given me so much to help over the centuries. You've cared for me, kept me company, and saved my mind. You have helped me, all right? Blazing Day nodded. Luna spoke up. Morning Glory, time has passed by while you were trapped in your mind. She placed a hoof on her chest. Time has also passed me by, and I know the confusion you feel. She waved a wing at Celestia. My dear sister has done all she can for me, and it's helped immensely, but her perspective is, how should we say, not the best. Morning Glory, if you need someone to talk to conversate, to pass the time, do not hesitate to call for me. I will be there for you. Morning Glory and her family looked up at the alicorn, tears welling up in Morning Glory's eyes. Thank you, she whispered. I'll definitely take you up on that. Blazing Day suddenly flew up and hugged her. Thanks. You're the best princess ever. Celestia and the princess ponies exchanged glances, bit their lips, but light snickering could all be heard. Luna turned and glared at Celestia. Oh, stop that! She then extended the wing and patted Blazing Day. Thank you, she said, her expression softening. Tiffany motioned to the party. It might get crowded, but I'm sure Ponyville's got room for all of you to stay and enjoy the festivities. Rosa shook her head. Tempting, my old friend, but no. We will have a long journey ahead of us back home, and it's best we start now. She leaned over and nuzzled Tiffany. Take care, and don't get lost in that dusty old castle of yours. She chided gently. Royal Blue stared down her muzzle at Rose Dust, eyes twinkling. And you remember to get out of Flare Valley every once in a while. See, the rest of the princess ponies exchanged goodbyes, with Rose Dust, Morning Glory, and her family. Rose Dust spread her gossamer wings and flew up, but stopped a few feet above Celestia. Oh, before I forget, she called down, Spiker wants to speak to you before he and his friends fly back to the Dragonlands. Her wings lit up. Until we meet again, she said before flying off, leaving a glaring contrail in the night sky. The Bubbles and the other flare ponies following her, their own wings lining up and painting the sky a kaleidoscope of colors. Those below stopped their partying and looked up, oohing at the sight. They stamped their hooves or clapped their hands at the show, keeping it up even after it faded away. Celestia stepped up to Luna's side as the flutter ponies and Bubbles flew off. I wonder why Spiker and the other dragons kept their distance from us while flying back here, she said, arching an eyebrow. I thought he would at least want to say hi to Megan and make sure she's all right. Luna tossed her mane back. Well, we can find out now. She looked down at the princess ponies. Mothers, we can send for a pair of chariots to take you back to the Crystal Castle, if you wish. Sparkle twirled her horn in the air, leaving the tip a trail of light. Oh, there's no need. I'm sure I can. Primrose shoved her hoof over her mouth. The chariots would be most appreciated, she said, staring daggers at Sparkle, who stared right back. Celestia bit her lip and composed herself before spreading her wings and flying off, Luna flying right behind. It flew to the edge of the Everfree, and 3 dragons hovering above it. Katrina and Rep flew along beside them, Rep transforming into a flying animal and acting as Katrina's steed. Celestia's horn lit up, blazed around the area, and as bright as day. Your Majesty, we cannot thank you enough for your help, Celestia said, bowing her head. Spycar raged her off. My pleasure, Celestia. I'm glad T-Rex was stopped before he got too far. I remember last time, the pain and misery. Scorpion tried to hide it from me, but even when I was a hatchling, I could tell. His gaze drifted, going back through the centuries. He suddenly shook his head. Anyway, I was wondering if I could see Megan, Molly, or Danny before we fly back to the Dragonlands. It would be a perfect opportunity to say hello again, Katrina said, rubbing her chin. Luna smiled. I'll be back with them in a moment. Her body turned to mist and flew back towards Ponyville, far faster than if she remained an alicorn. Within a few minutes it flew back up, Megan, Molly, and Danny trailing behind in a protective bubble. Molly's eyes were glued to the stars, while her hands were clenched in a white-knuckled terror before waving her chest. Next time I'll take a chariot! Next time I'll take a chariot! Next time I'll take a chariot! Danny rolled his eyes, but his own hands were gripped tightly on his wheelchair's armrests. He turned his arm up and waved it. Hey, Spike! Thanks for the say, sound liar! Megan floated up to Spiker's head. She wobbled a bit before waved her arms in circles, but eventually wearied herself. She grinned at the huge dragon. Hi, thanks. She reached out and hugged his snout, kissing it, then making a face. Why didn't I learn from last time? Shortman and May Long snickered, while Spikora's cheeks turned red. His eyes hardened for a moment, but he lost it quickly. It turned misty. It was merely payment for old debts, he rumbled. Danny chuckled. Looks like you found those good dragons after all. Spiker had smiled, but said nothing. Megan rolled her eyes. Like they ever married. She floated back and bowed to May Long, then to Dorman. Thank you very much for coming to Spike's aid. May Long studied Megan for a moment, stroking her chin. I think I see why Spiker holds you in such regard now, and why your legends grew over time. Megan swallowed it down, but she suddenly looked back up as her cheeks turned red to white. Oh boy. Her gaze shifted along, finally settling on Katrina and Rep. Eyes widened. Celestia and Luna told me, but I still don't believe it. She floated over to the pair. I thought you two would have left with Scorpion and the other humanoid species, or would be... You know. Katrina grinned, baring her sharp teeth, but still managed to look friendly. My people are very long-lived, and have, as your saying goes, 9 lives. I've used up most of mine, but I've got a pair left. She patted Rep's head. I was tempted to go with everyone else, but my dear friend would never leave his people, and where Rep goes, I go. Molly's eyebrow raised. Wait, you were a dragon all this time? But you're still so small! Rep barked out a laugh. There's more than the big dragons, Molly. My own clan may not be giants, but none of the others can change shape like we can. Katrina looked at Celestia and Luna. Princesses, with your permission, Rep and I are going to remain in Equestria for a few weeks. We like to catch up more thoroughly with them when we're not hanging over this accursed forest. The height's making me a bit dizzy. She looked down. No offense, Rep. Rep shrugged, bouncing Katrina a bit, forcing her to grab the saddle's pommel. None taken, he said, smirking. Celestia and Luna looked to each other, before Luna nodded. No permission needed, you two. Stay as long as you wish, both of you, Luna said. I know how nice it is to catch up after so long apart. Megan continued nodding to her. I like you. She looked at Megan and flashed a toothy grin. Fangs rather prominent. We'll see you down in Ponyville, year 3. With the town's best day awaiting. We have a lot of catching up to do. She looked at Mei Long. By your leave. At Mei Long's nod, Rhett banked and flew down to Ponyville. Dorman's head darted forward. As much as I hate to break this up, we do have a long journey back to the Dragonlands. And hopefully, we can explain to the border forts why we shot over them without stopping or saying anything. Celestia blinked, then slammed a hoof onto her forehead, sending out a gust of wind that rippled through the treetops. Oh, bucket! I knew I forgot something! Luna rolled her eyes. Send the letter after, all right? Megan gently patted Spiker's beak. Well, don't be a stranger, okay? I don't want it to be another 20 years or some world-ending crisis before I see you again. She rubbed her chin. Then again, we could visit you in the Dragonlands. She smiled. It'd be fun. Celestia's jaw dropped, but it took her a moment to articulate a speech. Well, fun isn't exactly how I would describe going there. It's not exactly the most hospitable place on the planet. Megan waved her off. Oh, compared to some of the places I went to back in the old days, there's slimly any problem now. Dane nodded. Yeah. I mean, we can't do it right now, but sometime in the future would be awesome. A quick trip to see Spiker and his people would be rather insightful. Molly rolled her eyes. Not the mice are pretty dangerous. Then again, it's like Megan said, my Lane was a pretty deadly place back in the day, and there hasn't exactly been a vacation spot the past 20 years either. Her expression brightened. Alan! Mike placed her hands on her hips and nodded. Megan placed her hands on her hips. Mac loves Dragon, so he'll come for sure. Not sure about Danielle or Michelle, though. They're still pretty young. Megan spoke up. And I can assure you, they'll be just as safe as you'll be. This will be plenty. Dragons can be a rowdy bunch, but we can restrain ourselves around weaker species. No offense. Megan waved off. I'll take it, counselor. Not while he's at sail, then. Celestia flew up to Spiker's face. Little help here? Spiker nodded. But of course, Celestia! I'll make sure that there are suitable lodgings for them, and they're paid the highest respects. He eyed her. You and Luna make sure they're well protected from the air and heat. Luna flew to Celestia's side and bowed her head, her entire body tipping forward. But of course, King Spikerman, she half shouted, ruffling his scales. We'll make sure they're afforded full protection from the elements. Celestia's head went back and forth between the two. But I didn't mean that! Luna cocked her head to the side. What did you mean, sister? Megan's made up her mind, and I seriously doubt you and I could have dissuaded her. A mischievous grin crossed her mouth. Not that you would try, right? Megan held up a hand and waved it. You will remember we're right here, right? Celestia grunted slightly and ducked her head. My apologies. I'll make the necessary arrangements for the trip. She looked right at Megan. It's just that we just got you back. The Dragonlands can be dangerous, and I don't want to risk losing you again, she said, turning and blushing slightly. Megan floated over and patted Celestia on the neck. Sorry, Celestia. Guess we got a little too enthusiastic for a moment about this. I don't think we even considered that. She placed her hand on her chest. And I'll swear to you we'll be careful and not take any risks there. Cross our hearts and hope to fly, stick a cupcake in her eye, she said, tapping her chest and covering her eye. Celestia folded the wing over, wrapping Megan in a hug. Thank you, and I'll make sure your visit is a safe one. Spiker had spread his wings and flapped them. And then I look forward to your visit, my old friends. We shall see you there. He twisted around in midair before flying off, passing over Ponyville and covering the town in shadow. Megalong flew right behind him, her body corkscrewing around. Dorman simply held up a hand and waved them off before flying after them. I've said it once before and I'll say it again. Is it wrong that I ship Megalong and Spikerin? My apologies, really. Molly and the others waved and shouted their goodbyes to him. She kicked to the air, cheeks flushed. Okay, we can go back to the ground now. Alright, I'll get your crick on Nick for looking up in the sky! She pointed at the ink of blackness. Although, I gotta say, Luna, the night does look lovely. Megan looked to Celestia, a smile on her face. I guess you knew that this was how it was going to all happen, right? Celestia can only chuckle. Didn't have a clue. You humans could be so unpredictable. Twilight Sparkle! Tony's head ripped around at the sound of a vaguely familiar voice. She was standing in front of the Golden Oaks with Applejack, Rainbow Dash, Rarity, Pinkie Pie, Apple Bloom, and Sleigh Bell. The party had begun winding down slightly, even with Pinkie Pie's best efforts to turn it into a week-long affair. Twilight leaned back at Trixie and walked up, Spike and Dizzy flanking her. She looked to Spike as the dragon ran up to her and hugged her. "Oh, Spike, I was wondering where the hell you'd gone to," she said, leaning into the hug. Spike broke the hug and scratched the back of his head. "Sorry, Twilight. Trixie and I kind of got caught up in entertaining the Folds and putting on a show. Then Dizzy and the doctor showed up and we started talking." He held out his arms. "Nothing on my sleeves, but what's this?" He reached up to Twilight's ear and pulled out a long stemmed rose. "For you, to make up for not coming earlier." Twilight's jaw dropped. She gently took the rose with her magic and floated it out with Spike's claws. "Why, thank you, Spike." She went to Trixie. "You taught him this?" Trixie bowed, sweeping a foreleg across her chest. "Spike caught on rather quickly with a sleight of hoof. He was a very eager student." She straightened up, expressive serious. "But lessons about magic aren't why I'm here, Twilight Sparkle. I am here to say sorry for directly challenging you like a fool when I first rode into town. You did absolutely nothing wrong, but I was a flagpole to you. That was wrong, and I'm sorry." She raised her right foreleg up and extended it to Twilight. Twilight stared down the foreleg before raising her own. She touched toes with Trixie and shook it. "Apology accepted, Trixie, and thank you for what you did earlier. Saving the Cutie Mark Crusaders from that Ursa Minor. I guess you can really say you've vanquished one now," she said, winking. Trixie glanced at Twilight's left. "Only if I make the mention of the awe-inspiring Applejack, who bailed me out at the very end when my magic ran to her eye." Applejack tacked her head forward. "Much blast, Trixie." Rainbow Dash flew up around Trixie, finally stopping by her right shoulder. "So, got any more apologies for anyone else?" she asked, smirking. Applejack tried forward, and stopped between the two blue-coated mares. She raced up and thrust her forelegs out. "All right, we are not starless," she said. "Trixie did some wrong back then, she admits it, but we wronged her too. We heckled her show instead of walking away and acting like fools. So instead of throwing accusations back and forth, let's just drop the entire thing and start fresh, okay?" Trixie let out a sigh. "I'll be willing to let bygones be bygones if you still are. I'll apologize for some of the things I did during my first appearance here." Rarity wrapped a foreleg around Sleepy Bell. "Trixie, for saving my sister's life, I am more than willing to wash my hands of that whole dreadful incident. It was wrong of me to rip down your curtain to make that dress, even if it did turn out lovely." Applejack smiled at her. "Well, might neighborly of y'all, Rarity." She looked up to Dash. "Come on, darling. Please." Rainbow Dash crossed her forelegs and rolled her eyes. "Oh, all right." She let outside a cartwheel around. "I'm sorry for heckling you," she blurted out. "And thanks for saving Scootaloo's life," she said, half smiling. "That was pretty awesome of you." Trixie bowed her head. "I'm sorry for zapping you with a lightning bolt, for tying up Applejack, and for turning Rarity's hair into a rat's nest." Then she suddenly clapped her hands together. "See? I told you it'd be okay." She suddenly hugged Trixie, squeezing tightly. Trixie's face turned red. "Dizzy, not so tight!" She sucked in her breath as Pegasus let go. "And Dizzy, thanks for letting me stay tonight with your family before I head back to Huffington tomorrow." Apple Bloom and Sleepy Bell gasped. They racked up to Trixie, honking into her slightly. "Wait, you're going back to Huffington?" Apple Bloom cried out. "You couldn't do that!" Sleepy Bell nodded frankly. "Yeah, you're going to teach us slightly of Huff. You can't do that if you're in Huffington." Trixie's eyes darted between the two fillies. "Well, I'd love to, but I can't. My house is in Huffington. I mean, I suppose I could come visit when I get the time, but I can't stay here in Ponyville. Besides, Checker Monarch gets a little bit worried." She reached out and gently tousled her manes. "Sorry." Apple Bloom and Sleepy Bell's heads drooped. "But that's on the other side of the Everfree," Apple Bloom said. "It takes a Pegasus a field day to fly there." Sleepy Bell sighed. "And by the time you get here, it'll be time to leave." Pinkie Pie tilted her head back and forth. Suddenly, she bounced forward. "Well, why not move here to Ponyville?" She suddenly gasped. Oh, if you can do that, I can start a welcome to Ponyville and thank you for saving the lives of the Key Marker Singers Party. You can be even the guest of honor and the entertainment. She bounced around, a small cannon suddenly appearing. You can even use my potty cannon! Jessie blinked. Wait, what? She shook her head. No, that wouldn't work. Sell my house? Hell! And what would I do here for money? Pinkie Pie darted off, returning from the chalkboard and wearing a lab coat. Huffington is currently a seller's market, according to the report I read while helping Mayor Mayor with office work. Oh, and wow, she needed help with that, she said right as she spoke. There's the old Plainfield Theater right across the street for Secret Cube Corner you can get for a song. Suddenly she darted forward and stared at Trixie, completely serious. But only attempt that if you got a backing chorus. Pinkie Pie, you are awesome some days. It's not every day that a fanfic remembers that Pinkie Pie's got a freaking photographic memory. Trixie leaned back, falling into her haunches. I'll remember that. Pinkie grinned, then turned back to the chalkboard. She drew several crude buildings. Now then, that might take up most of your money, but Applejack's hiring at Sweet Apple Acres. She solved it up to Applejack. What do you say? Applejack rubbed her chin. You know, that'd be a home thinker of an idea, Pinkie. Now I'll think about it. We got the wreckage of your old wagon behind one of the stores said. Most of that stuff inside and survived and looked like it was well maintained. Would you be willing to be hired help to maintain our equipment and tools? Trixie gasped. The stuff inside. Did that include my hat and cape? Applejack winced slightly, and Trixie slipped out her tongue. That stuff was your mother's? Trixie slowly nodded. It was her, before she passed away, leaving me an orphan. She looked away, nickering slightly. How are their condition? Rarity spoke up. They're both in my shop at the moment, darling. They're a little tattered and frayed, but I can fix them up in no time for you. She held up her foreleg and rubbed it in front of Trixie. No charge, of course. I insist, for your actions earlier. Trixie's mouth opened a few times, jaw wavering. Dizzy patted her on the head. Are you all right? She asked, both eyes focusing on her. Trixie shrugged. I don't know what to say, she admitted. Easily, thank you, is the proper response, Ditsy said, winking. Trixie chuckled. Then thank you, Rarity. Thank you, Applejack. I accept your offer of employment. She thrust out her shoulders, making her cape ripple. Your tools shall be in their best condition ever! Apple Bloom and Sweet Belle cantered around Trixie, laying out their cheer at the news. Trixie smiled at Ditsy. I guess you were right back then. Ponyvillians can be pretty awesome. Ditsy nodded. To borrow a phrase from a friend. Was there any doubt? Excuse me. Yes! Oh, I was hoping for a happy ending for Trixie. It was just past midnight by the time Megan, Mike, Molly, Danny, Danielle, Michelle, Twilight Sparkle, Minerva, Luna, and Celestia made their way back to the equestrian end of the Rainbow Bridge. Minerva hung back with the alicorns, walking between them. She reached inside her jacket and pulled out an envelope. I was going to give this to you earlier, but all hell threatened to break loose. Literally, now that I think about it. She held it up. It's an invitation from Clayton Alphamathy, the President of the United States, to come to Earth and establish formal diplomatic relations. Celestia lifted the envelope out of Minerva's head, slid a letter out of it, and read before folding over to Luna to read. Would this be with the United States or with other countries? Celestia asked. There would be other countries at this meeting, Minerva replied. Most governments have signed what's known as the Geneva Accords, a series of treaties concerning contact with non-human life, cooperation in case of attack, colonization practices, and a host of other things. Almost all the countries, barring a few rogue states like North Korea, are moving towards a single planetary government, if only for easing paperwork concerning our planetary defense forces and exploration of space. Spoilers, but I think this is about to lead to Star Trek. Luna snoring. A fine goal, yes, Yamato. Paperwork is the bane of any organization! Writing implements and a scroll suddenly popped up into existence in front of her head. She unrolled the scroll, wrote down a few sentences, and floated it, and the quill over to Celestia. who read it and signed her name at the bottom of the list to lose. We accept President Abernathy's invitation and look forward to seeing him and the other world leaders, Luna said, giving the scroll of Minerva. Celestia looked at the young woman. And on behalf of Equestria, thank you for your ISIS at Ponyville. You saved a lot of lives then. Minerva bowed her head. You're welcome. Maybe I'll get that time off I requested after all. Celestia smiled, but her expression changed. Do you have any idea how these negotiations might go? Minerva shook her head. Off the top of my head, no. First contact with non-humans happens about twice a week nowadays, so there's nothing inherently strange in meeting you. What will be a bit of a sticking point is that you've got a portal that leads right into the heart of the United States. Celestia and Luna exchanged a glance. Excellent point, Celestia admitted. Again, I think this is going to change. This world's heading towards Star Trek, and that's going to be awesome. Actually, okay, that's my headcanon right now. The future of the Hasbroverse leads straight to Star Trek, which means Kirk has a transformer on board the Enterprise. Now that you see it, you can't unsee it. The group arrived at the Rainbow Bridge. Megan looked around at the toppled trees, ripped up ground, and other signs of the battle that had been waged there just a few hours ago. She let out a low whistle and shook her head. I don't think I'll ever understand why T-Rex did what he did. Twilight trotted up to her side. I hate to see it, but it could have been a lot worse if T-Rex hadn't been stopped. Megan dropped to her knee. Hey, we took him out together and saved the day. Not a bad day's work, she said, holding out a fist that Twilight gently bumped with a hoof. Megan grinned and began to straighten up, but groaned and rolled her eyes almost to the back of her skull. Ugh! And there goes the adrenaline, and here comes the exhaustion, she said, leaning forward. Mike and Molly grabbed Megan's arms and stayed her. No passing out till we get back home, Molly said, a bit unsteady herself. Then we can all drop into the living room floor and sleep for a week. Mike grunted. Ugh! A week, Molly? I don't think I'm going to curl into a ball for a month. Minimum! His grip tightened slightly on Megan's arm. You sure you're all right? Megan heaved aside and waved him off. Oh, sir, honey. Thanks. Just let me curl into a ball until the sun burns out, and I'll be wasted. Twilight looked at them, then back to Celestia and Luna. Princesses, I know we were going over to their house for a visit, but under the circumstances, I think I speak for everyone I said we need all a good, long rest after today. Celestia's muzzle twitched, but she finally nodded. Excellent observation, my student. She waited for Minerva and Danny to join the others under the Rainbow Bridge and for Twilight to canter off. Her horn started glowing. I'll send you all over there. Megan's head shot around. What? She slid her arms out from Molly and Mike's grip, turned around, and slowly hobbled to the alicorns. She reached up and patted Celestia and Luna on their cheeks. Thank you, she said, smiling. Celestia and Luna blinked, eyes glowing moist. No, Luna said. Thank you. She turned and looked at the others. All of you. Megan opened her mouth, but simply turned and walked back. She looked up to the hole. Okay, let's go back. There was a sudden buzz from Minerva's jacket. She reached in and pulled out her phone. Oh, funny, a signal, she said. She tapped the screen a few times. Wait, I have 50 messages! Minerva's head shot up around as she realized she was no longer in Equestria. She raised her arms as a bright light and cacophonous noise assaulted her senses. Okay, what the hell? A half-dozen helicopters hovered in the air above the Richards house. Spotlights trained on the Rainbow Bridge, or the yard itself. 2 Autobots steered near the patio. A plethora of equipment scattered around them. A dozen soldiers from the United States Army stood in the largest open area, all wearing blue-tinted power armor. The sounds of heavy vehicles could be heard in the street beyond. Megan slowly looked around the backyard, jaw wavering. She jabbed her finger raggedly at everything. What the? I just... She strangely threw her arms into the air. Danny rolled over to Minerva, who was tapping her cell phone. So, any of those messages saying anything about this, or was this set up by Piggy Pie and some other of all surprise parties? Minerva's head shot over as he glared at Drancy. Danny, ha! Trust me, for a Class 7 incursion, this is Smurfly. She began scrolling through the messages. Yeah, first thing we do is set up a wireless connection to Equestria. One of the soldiers walked up. The visor of his human sliding up to reveal the dark gray-skinned man in his mid-30s.
Agent Minerva Yamato!
In Minerva's acknowledgement, he focused on her.
I'm Master Sergeant Roger Epps of the United States Army. We're here in response to your message.
He waved her gauntleted arm at the two Autobot scientists working near the patio.
Wheeljack and Presenter are working on a way to get to Ponyville without a Space Bridge terminal on that side.
He looked at Megan and the rest of her family.
If that's necessary at this point.
Minerva scratched the back of her head. At the moment, it's not, Sergeant. T-Rex is defeated, and the threat's over. Megan spoke up. Sergeant Epps? She waved for him to look to her before continuing. I do appreciate the response, but we've all had a very long day. Is there any chance you could all pull back for tonight? Epps nodded.
Sure thing, Mrs. Vincent. We can pull back within the hour.
He tapped the side of his helmet, and a soft burst of static came through.
All units stand down. I say again, stand down. Class 7 incursion has been averted.
Look to Minerva.
We'll need to debrief you. Be in the front yard in 10 minutes.
And with that, he spun about and marched back to the others. Minerva read the brothers of her nose. Simmons and Patsek are never going to let me live this down. Passetra could only look up and sighed. Oh, just when I was about to get the rest of these computer components done. Well, come along, Wheeljack.
Sure thing. Come on.
2 weeks after T-Rex defeat. Danielle paced back and forth in the kitchen. Her hands waving about in the air as she thought to herself, Okay, it won't be bad. They'll say yes, I'll know it. She stopped and looked at the refrigerator. Or they'll ground me for life. And why will they do that? Danielle jumped and shouted as Megan and Mike walked in. Yeah, they'll do that, she said, clutching her chest. Megan glanced at her elder daughter through her nose. Sorry, didn't realize I needed to announce my present when going to my kitchen. Mike chuckled.
Maybe we shall ask if any of the ponies would play trumpets when we enter a room.
Megan covered her mouth and bit her lip. Don't ask them. They'll take you up on that. She and Mike walked up to the table and sat down. Megan looked up at Danielle as she sat down. So, what is it you wanted to talk about? Danielle swallowed. She leaned forward, sucked in a breath, and said, I want to put off attending the University of Kentucky for a year and live in Ponyville. She held up her hands. Please, don't tell me no right off. I'll have good reasons. Megan blinked. She and Mike locked eyes for a moment, then focused on her older daughter. Wait, what? Megan asked, leaning forward. Danielle motioned to a stack of My Little Horsey books on the table. She picked one up and leafed through it. Mom, what you, Uncle Danny, and Aunt Millie did way back then influenced and changed equestrian culture. It's a unique blend of ancient pony culture and traditions with human technology reverse engineered over generations, and our own culture from the 1980s and before. Borrowing the Junkie Cons, we've never encountered a species like this. I want to study it, live it, and write about it. Mike waved his hand about as he gathered his thoughts. Okay, well this thing's a bit sudden. How long have you been thinking about doing this? Danielle blushed and ducked her head. Oh, since about 20 minutes after meeting Twilight. Megan rubbed her forehead. Danielle Lynn Whistler Richards. Do you have any idea how dangerous this idea could be? You haven't forgotten what happened a couple of weeks ago, right? What about that scholarship you got? Mike continued. Danielle smiled. She held up an envelope that was on the table. I can defer the scholarship for a year, no problem. And yes, Mom, I can't remember the whole Menace by a Star Bearer thing. It's not like Earth is a bastion of safety. A Decepticons? Mike opened his mouth, but stopped slightly. Okay, so good points there. You've been rehearsing this. Danielle shrugged. Oh, like I said, 20 minutes after meeting Twilight. Oh, to answer your next question, Twilight says I could live at Golden Oaks with her as back. I could also work part-time there and at Trixie's Theater, so might as well say it too. She sat up, grinning slightly widely. I could even stop by a few times a week for dinner. Megan slowly nodded. Okay, you really have thought this through. She drummed her fingers on the table before shaking her head. Danielle, I just don't know if you thought this through enough, though. Moving to Ponyville is not something to be taken lightly. Danielle shrugged. Like when I was going to move to UK campus? I'll be closer than if I enrolled there, learning invaluable life lessons at the same time. Mike shook his head. I'm still pretty unsure about this, Danielle. Is there something else you're not telling us? 2 weeks or not, it's still pretty sudden. Daniel hesitated for a moment. I guess, Dad, maybe. Her gaze drifted between her parents. Mom, Uncle Danny, and Molly, they did so much for the ponies back then. And I remember hearing about Dad helping out people during the 80s during the Decepticon or Cobra attacks. Not to mention stopping some psycho back in high school. And then I look back on the past 18 years of my own life. What have I done that's so grand? This is something that can matter far past than going to college. Wait, what did Mike do back in high school that involved stopping a psycho? What was it? Because that sounds pretty cool. Megan shook her head. Different circumstances and situations, Danielle. I'm glad you're not in such a dangerous situations like that. Unless it's a lot less dangerous, Daniel countered. You'll both know where I am, and I can even cross over for dinner on Sunday. She clasped her hands together. Please, let me do this. I swear I'll be as careful as I can be there. This is something I think I can really help both humans and ponies. Mike blew out a breath. Well, you're absolutely sure about this, Danielle. You'll take every precaution you can and keep in contact with us? Danielle straightened up. Cross my heart and hope to fly. Stick a cupcake in my eye, she said, crossing herself and placing her hand over her left eye. Megan slowly stood up. All right. If you're going to do this, then there's something you need. She turned and left the kitchen. Danielle watched her leave, but her gaze went back to Mike as he looked at her. Dad, you all right? Mike shook his head. I'm just thinking back to the gala when I saw you all dressed up. Now I really am wondering where the time's going. He held out a hand. You'll understand when you have kids yourself. Megan walked back to the kitchen, clutching her Marlin lever action rifle. She placed it on a table in front of Danielle. You'll need some protection. When Trixie and Twilight weren't around. Lord knows how much I would have needed one in the early days. She motioned to the engravings and etchings along the barrel. Celestia laid some enchantments to it during T-Rex invasion, so he could shoot magic fireballs. She and Luna made them permanent. Now it's time for the next generation to use it. Danielle slowly stood up, followed by Mike. Mom, thank you! She walked around to the table and threw her arms around Megan, hugging her tightly. Mike joined in the hug, kissing his daughter on the forehead. I guess my little girl's not so little anymore, he choked out. There was a gentle knocking at the back door, and Megan's call to come in. It opened, and a United States Marine walked in, followed by a unicorn in uniform.
Sorry to interrupt, he shouted, but there's a message for you.
The unicorn tried and knelt forth. Begging your pardon, but I have a message of invitation for Celestia and Luna. His horn glowed, and a lavishly colored envelope slid out of the saddlebag and out to Megan. There is to be a celebration held in your honor in 2 weeks' time, as well as a surprise. Megan opened the envelope. She, Mike, and Daniel skinned it. Oh, all this looks even bigger than the gala, Mike marked. I hope Rarity's tugs will be fancy enough. I don't think I could go any more formal than that. Megan picked up a pen and quickly wrote down the invitation before holding it out to the unicorn and levitated back to the saddlebag. Please inform the princesses we'll all be there. Daniel arched an eyebrow. Now I'm curious about this surprise. The unicorn chuckled. Well, if I told you, I don't think it would be much of a surprise then. Equestria had turned itself 2 weeks later into one huge party. Balloons floated from every lamppost and banners hung from every window in front of every building. Food had been prepared and music, both recorded and live, filled the air. Schools were on holiday. Businesses were closed, and the citizens all gathered together in song and celebration over T-Rex defeat. Canterlot, however, outdid them all. The city had turned out for this, along with almost the entire population of Ponyville. Most of them were scattered throughout the city, taking in the sights and massive quantities of food. But a number of them were clustered in a square in front of the largest walls of Canterlot Palace, a wall that was covered in an unbelievably huge tarp. Megan, Mike, Danielle, Michelle stood near a fountain in the middle of the street. Danny sat near one of the edges of the tarp, Molly standing behind him and scowling as he tried to peek behind it. Others were scattered across the square. Twilight and Spike stood near her parents, Senator Nightlight and Head Librarian Twilight Velvet. Albasac and her family sat by a long table, groaning with food. Fluttershy sitting next to Big Macintosh, a wing draped over his back. Big Macintosh himself was wearing his old dress uniform. Rarity and Blue Blood chatted almost amicably, the two even laughing on occasion. Rainbow Dash flew about, Pinkie Pie bouncing along, firing off her party cannon at the concentration of Royal Guard present. Among the crowd, Katrina and Rep chatted with Sakura about the forms of magic. The Who's family stood clustered together with Scootaloo and her family. Bon Bon served candy while Lyra stirred her lyre. Mayor walked about, shaking hooves and trying to kiss babies. Princess Pony stood in a group, waving at passerby while the bush lilies rolled along. Raindrops was taking care of snails, trying to keep them away from the various bugs. Carrot Top also helped with some of the food, while Charlie was thinking of some different education courses for our ponies to listen to. Dizzy was busy giving Dinky a flight around Canterlot. Onto the side, a large stage had been set up. Trixie was on it, entertaining a large crowd that included Queen Rose Dust, Morning Glory, and a few dozen other flutter ponies and bush lilies. She was fully in her element, performing various tricks and slay a hoof that caught oohs and ahs, and applause so loud it would have been mistaken for a stampede. And so there Trixie was, facing down the Ursa Minor as it was about to attack the poor innocent foes. Trixie was scared, but she was not going to run. Oh no. Oh yes, Trixie could smell death's breath, and death could use a mint. Reporters and cameras crew lined the perimeter, recording the events. By the way, that earlier Trixie line, $5 if you can guess where that came from. General Spanish Steel, Chancellor Fancy Pants, and his wife, Fleur de Lis, stood near the castle's main gate, glancing over their shoulders at it. Suddenly, the gate swung open. Members of the Royal Guard marched and flew out, lining up in two columns. A hush fell over the crowd as Celestia, Luna, and Cadence trotted out in full regalia. Each alicorn sparkled and shone under the sun as they walked forth. Those in attendance bowed and curtsied as they walked forward, their hooves clip-clopping on the concrete. Danny and Molly stepped and rolled back as they strolled to the center of the top. "Who here has heard the tales of the Magne?" Celestia asked, her voice carrying across the scare. "Or of the Daniel, or the Marie? Who here knows of how she traveled across the river of fire from Keetuck to bring us her gifts or her wisdom?" Luna continued. "It is true that Firefly crossed the original Rainbow Bridge and brought back help. But it was not some quasi-divine being who came across to help T-Rex interpretations, but a young girl who wanted to help those who needed. A young girl who saw other beings suffering and could not stand by while others suffered. She and her brother and sister helped those who needed, simply because it was the right thing to do." Kane spoke. "They themselves will tell you their actions weren't too meaningful, that the ponies themselves built Equestria. While that is somewhat true, without the knowledge and tools they brought us, they would not have been able to start at all." Celestia extended a wing. "Megan, Molly, Danny, would you come here, please?" She waited for them to approach her. "Long ago, Starswirl the Bearded and Spellion the Powerful said that it would be best for you to fade into legend, so that ponies could stand on their own four hooves. I'm not sure if they were right or wrong, but the time has now passed for the Magne. It is now time for Equestria to look back on Dream Valley and Ponyland and to remember all who struggled during those dark days." The Alcorn's horns glowed. The tarp wavered a bit before vanishing, revealing a mural nearly 50 feet tall. It was roughly divided into two sections. On the left, Megan, Molly, and Danny stood on a field of green grass, looking to their right, drawn as young adults. Twilight Wish, Applejack, Little Spike, Bowtie, Baby Moon Dancer, Magic Star, Fizzy, and Shady, and other Unicorn Earth ponies stood by the three, or just behind. Firefly, Medley, Wind Whistler, Heartthrob, Surprise, Parasite, and Masquerade, because I like her, and other Pegasi flew above them, caught in the middle of cartwheels and loop-de-loops. Flutter ponies clustered behind them. Stonebacks and Crab Nasties were visible in the background, relatively small but very detailed. Katrina, Rep, the Princess Ponies, and King Scorpion stood near the back, right in front of grand images of the Trine Castle, Crystal Castle, and Paradise City itself. Princess Celestia, Luna, and Cadence faced them. Celestia's foreleg was extended, gently gripped by Megan. Twilight Sparkle, Rarity, Applejack, Pinkie Pie, Fancy Pants, Trixie, Shining Armor, and other unicorns or earth ponies stood by them, right on behind on their own field of grass. Rainbow Dash, Fluttershy, Ditsy, and other Pegasi flew about. The Key Marker Sayers, all 6 of them, played around a tree in the background near the far right side. Mike stood in his armor, holding Megan's rifle. Spanish Steel and Big Mac stood by him, nearly in the same positions as Scarpan, Katrina, and Rep. Candlelight was suspended in the upper right corner, with scenes from modern-day Equestria below it. Okay. To all my fans who are listening to this and are fan artists, all you people who are fan artists, I want fan art of that mural! To the person who can actually get me fan art of that mural as it was described, I will read a fanfic of their choice. I make that promise right now. Give me that mural and I will read you a fanfic. The crowd gasped at the mural. Megan swallowed. It's so... I'm not sure what to say. Thank you for this. For remembering all of them. See, Molly and Danny faced the princesses and began to bow. But Celestia held out a wing. No, my friends, she said, smiling. You three bow to no one. And with that, she, Luna, and Cadence lowered their heads and dropped down. Danny shot up. Oh, no, 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 no! He shouted, getting everyone's attention. If we don't bow to you, you don't bow to us, he said, wagging a finger at them. He wheeled around and looked at everyone else there. We're friends, after all, right? There was silence for a moment. Then someone began stomping their hooves. Within seconds, everyone was there was stomping, shouting, and cheering. The noise echoed across the city, across Equestria, and across generations. Yeah! And across Live Raiders, too. Mike opened up the oven door, slid out a tray of haddock, and placed it on the counter. He turned to 4 ponies sitting at the tables. Food's down, he said, sliding the haddock onto plates. He moved to grab them, but the plates suddenly floated up and over to the Royal Guards pony sitting at the table. Okay. I'll guess horns could be useful for some things, he said, smirking. The unicorn who grabbed the plates inhaled the aroma of fish and smiled. Well, this brings back memories of fishing with my father, he said, smiling. She looked at Mike. Well, thank you very much for these, sir. Mike started to speak, but his cell phone rang. He looked at the caller ID and grinned. He thumbed to a connection. Hi, kiddo, he said, grinning. How are things over? Dan's voice came over. Fine, Dan. Thanks. Twilight, Spike, and I are getting ready for Mr. Galloway's place next week. We'll have everything set for him. Mike smiled. Now, you're not planning any pranks or setting up false emergencies, are you? Don't worry, Dad. We had Pinky and Dad's promise and swear not to pull any pranks on him while he's here. It'll be a nice, normal week at Ponyville for him. Danielle? That ain't exactly reassuring. Mike's face turned pale. We'll be getting the director of the NSA back in one piece, right? Physically, yes. Mentally, who can say? There was a pause. Say, where's Mom? I couldn't connect with her. Mike hesitated. She went to Aunt Jane's ranch. She says she has some things to take care of there. Not sure what, though. The drive to the old ranch took longer than Megan thought it would, and passed by quicker than she wanted to. She knew it was pulling into her truck into the driveway and saying hi to Aunt Ju, her mother's sister. They talked for a bit and reminisced, but Megan's attention soon drifted to the vague reason she was there. She politely asked if she could take a walk, and Aunt June said yes, letting her be. Megan walked to where the old stables were, so many years ago. Their location hadn't changed, but someone's work had been done on them. They might as well have been new. She walked around, stopping by TJ's grave and paying her respects. She walked up to the old well, half expecting to see an old friend there, but not surprised to find no one there. She patted the wooden handle and turned to go, but stopped at a sight in the sky. A rainbow hung in the air, stretching from one point to the horizon to the other. Despite no clouds in the sky or rain for 3 days, it was there, bright and thick. And tiny motes danced and zigzagged around it, changing direction and swimming about, but staying in the same area. They stayed together, like a group. Megan reached for her cell phone, but stopped. She stared at it a moment before raising her arm and slowly waving in the air. The motes all suddenly stopped for a moment and bunched together. They bounced up and down, gradually slowing and stopping. Tears beamed down from Megan's eyes even as she smiled. She wiped her eyes, composed herself and turned. She bade Aunt June goodbye before climbing back into her truck, starting the engine, and going home. The end. before I begin this review, there is a sequel called Confusing Burrow United We Stand, so thus I feel like I have to add this. As Megan walked back, the skies blackened, and suddenly Xenolestia appeared. "You weak, pathetic fools! I've come for your souls!" Megan brings out her handgun as he looks straight at Xenolestia's eyes. "I don't think so." Megan will return, and the Confusing Burrow, united we stand! And as promised, when he finishes that, you will have a live read. And now, on to the review. I originally was thinking about splitting this to a separate video because of all the things I had to say about it, but I think I'll just say it right here in this vid. This fic, sweet heavenly Celestia, this fic was just awesome. I'm not going to lie. It's not going to hit my top 12, but good golly does it come pretty dang close. I'd say maybe number 13 on that list. And I think I love it because it touches so many things. Let me get the easiest out of the way to talk about. The grammar and spelling on all this was impeccable. The pacing, in my opinion, was great. And the characters were in character. Daz, arrogant and boastful. Applejack, loyal and willing to put all the work on herself. Twilight, snarky and smart and wanting to study everything the moment she has something new. Rarity, graceful and ladylike but willing to fight if need be. Pinkie Pie, silly but smart. Fluttershy, kind but brave. All of our girls were done well. And developed. Well, except for one, but I'll get to that. Every part of the story touched perfectly. The action went through well, as we got to see all our contenders fight. Not just the main heroes, but some of the other characters as well. This is probably going to be one of the few fanfics I have ever read in my life where Blue Blood is awesome. But it wasn't just Blue Blood or the ponies. Oh no. The entire equestrian front fought. We had also bits with Spycoron, where he didn't make it look like
Eat big dragon! Makes the ponies look small!
No. Spycoron was just as much a part of the battle, and they're equal, as the rest of the team was in their final fight. And the battles with the ponies was awesome. I know some person tried to talk about not seeing that many losses, but we didn't need to see the losses. I mean, there were some parts that said, yeah, some died, but not. You don't need a senseless carnage. You just need to know that there's a huge gigantic rumble. And that's what made it awesome. Big Mac was totally great in that fight, as we got to see him pulling off every move imaginable with his flails. We got to see Shining Armor be the leader that he is. Kind of was 5th Century guy added to that mix, but can't have everything. And of course, Cadence I have a fanfic where Cadence has a grand moment of awesome. And the best part is, none of it involved talking down to characters or making anybody else look weak and inferior. Celestia and Luna had their awesome fights, reminding us all that if Chrysalis wasn't hyped up on love juice, and if Celestia had let loose everything, yeah, Chrysalis would have been dead, but so would have the entire crowd. But now she didn't have a crowd stopping her, that Ursa Major went down! Trixie had her own moments of awesome, where she got to show off what she could do. She wasn't as strong as Twilight, but she didn't need to be. She was being smart, resourceful, intelligent, using her spells in ways that you couldn't think of. Yeah, she was scared out of her mind, but sometimes being a hero does mean that you have to be a little bit scared sometimes. But you can also overcome it. And that is what made Trixie a hero that day. And now to move on to some of the big points that I just simply love about this fic, as it touches upon several ideas that I liked. Let me get the big one out of the way. Well, not necessarily a big one, but one of the big ones is the human and pony relationship. I noticed that in reading some of the other reviews of the story, that some of the people were expecting, oh my gosh, this is going to have the humans want to dissect the ponies. Oh, there's going to be a war, or oh, there's going to be conflict. And Arcade Striker says, no, I don't like that, because that would be, I don't like the idea of humans doing that, and it wouldn't work. And for me, if that had happened, if a single tiny minutia of that ever happened, we would not be here today, people. I would not have done a live read. Because quite frankly, I find it stupid too. Far, far too often, I found that dark fics or dark stories or realistic movies and realistic comics and dark comics always want to use that as an excuse for humans or people to act stupid. And if there's one thing I can't stand in my stories is people acting stupid just for the sake of drama. It doesn't really make sense here in the Hasbroverse, because of several points. One, which is one of the main reasons I get really annoyed by both Transformers 3 and Age of Extinction, is that this is a world with Autobots, Inhumans, and the characters from D&D. At this point, meeting ponies, one, is kind of on the low end of the shocking scale when you've met creatures that are weirder than ponies. I mean, there's a race in Transformers that talks only in singing. So, yeah, I kind of don't see it. Two, the humans have seen real evil. Cobra, for one. They know what Cobra could do. And two, they also know that the other evil comes in a freaking gigantic gray armor and can turn into a gun. His name is Megatron. Pleased to meet you. Yes, the Decepticons are pure evil. And as I said, one of the things that keeps ticking me off about the Transformers movies is that humans immediately watch the actions of the Decepticons and go, yep, the Autobots are to blame too. Even though, there are two separate factions. They've got easy to read insignias, and the human populace would not be that stupid. So humanity would probably realize by now, look, if the ponies were going to do anything, they would do something by now. And call me naive, call me hopeful, but personally, I believe our first contact with aliens would become more like Star Trek and not Mars Attacks, or even The Day the Earth Stood Still. I'm sorry if it burst anybody's pessimistic bubbles, but it's just the way I feel. And that's one of the things that makes me like this fic, is that it doesn't require the humans being evil for conflict. And instead, looks to the goodness and the humanity within us all. It goes, you know what? If we were to ever meet ponies, it would be like this. It would be Star Trek. And I gotta say, there's no better emotion than to think about that. And there's nothing better than to have that really hopeful feeling that at one point, when we meet something like that, we're going to have a peaceful meeting. Another thing that this touches upon that I also enjoyed was the feeling of coming home, or more likely, what's next for the Chosen One. I said in the comments that this made me think of Prince Caspian a lot. Now I know what you're thinking. Why Prince Caspian? Why not something where a character really does come back to this land multiple times, like Wizard of Oz or Harry Potter? Well, for me, Harry Potter, he comes back to Hogwarts. It's basically the same thing. There's always going to be magic. There's always going to be something to do. There's always going to be something to learn. And it's mainly Voldemort. Oz, there's always going to be a new adventure, and Dorothy's always got her thing. It's that dream of being able to go somewhere and knowing that you're not going to have to worry too much. But Prince Caspian is another story. In that, the heroes come back to a world that needs them once more. The humans have all but destroyed the magic of Narnia. there is an evil king of presence, and the Pentry kids need to stop it. This fic is kind of asking, what if? What if the Pentry kids came back to a Narnia that didn't need them? The magic creatures in Narnia's and humans all live together in peace and harmony. The world of Narnia built up and has progressed and thrived without them. What would it be like for the Pertwee kids? Would they still have a place? Would they still have a meaning? And that is what this question is this fic is asking. And that is something important to Megan. Is what would happen if the chosen hero of one of these, kids in a fantasy world, kids helps out people, he's the POV shot, etc., etc. What happens if he comes back and the world doesn't need him anymore? That they don't need his help. Superman Returns tried to touch upon this, but failed upon that in so many levels, but this fic does it well. As we see this constantly throughout the story, where we see Megan try to take on Stephen Magnet. Oh, wait, he's a nice guy. Okay, what about my legacy? Well, ponies think you're a god. Okay, should I go out and help them out with this? No, we got it. Okay, what about this? No, we got it. This all culminates at the gala where Megan asks point blank, what is my point anymore? Can I offer anything? What is my goal? Because at this point, she's grown up. She's done everything. She's moderately successful with a best-selling book series. She's got a wonderful family. And she has a life. Basically, she's asking, am I still needed? And we see that, yes, she is. She may not be as big or as needed as she was before, but she is still needed to help out others, to protect the others and help out in any way she can. It may be small, like say just a simple gunshot to take down the demon, but she is still needed to inspire, to assist, and to create. That is what she is needed for. And this helps remind us that life does go on after the end. Because, let's face it, real life has no ending. If I may offer a quote from my favorite book, one of my favorite books, and one of my favorite animated movies of all time, there are no happy endings. Because nothing ever truly ends. This fic also did a great job of integrating the G1 lore with G4. I mean, I've seen other fanfics do it, but this did it really well by making sure that everything passed it to legend. So that way, a lot of things could become storied. They could become more fantastical. It helps to world build this, and it's done in such a way that I could actually see this being canon in the show. That, Firefly is a legacy name for the Wonderbolts. Not to mention, the whole entire way that this works in this lovely connection to the universe also makes it so that anything, if you want to make this canon with the other seasons, and I know RK said he doesn't want to do that, but if you want to make it a connected series, you could. Right, the Tree of Harmony. Okay, everything grew up around it. Luna's first nightmare night happens before this story. And so many more could happen. One of the few exceptions would have to be Trixie's story, but still, with a little subtle manipulation and a little trickery and sleight of hand, you could really make all the fantasy seasons really work with the show. Heck, I would love to see some people try and do that. It would be one heck of a ride. This fic also does an excellent job of something else. It doesn't bash. Instead, it gives everybody some well-developed characters. Last Century, for example, is turned into Shining Armor's companion and feels like an old friend of his. Makes me kind of want to see more of their relationship and how these two friends grew. They're almost like Bass brothers. I also kind of want to see more of certain the other parts of the stories, like with Mike or with Mike's history or stuff like that. Heck, even Blue Blood got a few moments of awesome and made him more of an interesting character to me. I like that he didn't have to bash anybody just to make the other characters feel superior. Instead, every character gets a moment to shine, or at least every character actually gets an ability to show off what they can do. And most importantly, the characters that we crossed over with are not outshining the main six. There's a blog post where he mentions that he was going to have Megan take things down, and that it was going to be Megan who helped defeat T-Rex, but that would take away from the main six. Now, that would be one of my fears had I not read 3 New Senshi. In that fic, he manages to make sure that both Jedi and the Senshi get moments to shine. He makes sure that the Senshi are just as awesome and just as bad as the Jedi. It seems true here. Megan doesn't outshine the main six. Transformers writers, take note. This is one of those things that ticks me off about the other Transformers series, is that the human characters are able to take down Decepticons with a little effort. Makes me ask a question that you should never, ever, ever ask when you're watching a film with a bunch of heroes. What is the point of the heroes? If Megan had taken down T-Rex, once again, I would have stopped reading, because it would have had me ask, if Megan can do this, what is the point of the main six? Why should I care about the main six? You would have taken the spotlight away from them, and you would have messed up the entire story completely. It would have looked bad, and I would have hated it. Because I hate it when stories do that. It's like saying, oh, if the Metropolis Police Department can take down Metallo, what's the point of Superman? Yeah, have some of the other guys fight a little bit, but remember, your heroes, your main characters, are the main six. The ones who are supposed to take down the main bad guy, the ones who need to put in the effort, the ones you are following, yeah, that would be the Unicorn, Alicorn, Earth Pony, Pegasus, and Pegasus over there. Not Celestia, and not Little Miss background character, and definitely not Megan. Despite the fact that Megan's really well developed and one of my favorite characters in this whole fic, if she had done it, yeah, I would have stopped reading and I would have ran away from this. Because I'm here for the main six. And that's another thing I am glad. Megan felt like she was a side character while still a main character. The main six still got plenty of moments where they got to shine. Like, say, Applejack helping out with the family, Trixie being awesome, who, once again, is one of my favorites, Twilight investigating, Rainbow Dash, and it works really well to give us a chance to bond with the main six, Luna and Celestia. But I think most importantly, what this fic does really well in my eyes are the humans. If you take a good look at my favorites, you'll see that unless it's anthropomorphized or humanized, the ratio of actual humans in Equestria is very, very low. Unless it's a crossover, I tend to run the other direction from these things. So believe me, the fact that I chose this to live read and that I was into it speaks worlds for me. And it wouldn't have happened if they weren't as developed. I began to find myself really liking Mike. A goofball, a little bit of a dork, but really brave, willing to fight for his woman. I liked Danielle and Michelle. They were both cute kids. Danielle acting a little bit like the only sane woman, but still very studious and educational. I could see her getting along with Twilight very well. Molly was, oh, not Molly, Michelle is just adorable, acting like a really, really hyperactive girly, but just a little bit of mix of Scootaloo. Danny and Molly start showing off what they were like when they were older, with Molly becoming far, far more snarky and far more insulting than she was when she was a kid. Believe me, I've watched G1. And Danny becoming a little bit more laid back, but really becoming a rascallion. But if they did not do that, if these humans were not as developed as they were, I wouldn't have enjoyed seeing their antics and I wouldn't have gotten worried for them. I felt like I came to know them. And this is especially true for what I feel like the fanfic did the best with. My favorite part of this whole story, Megan freaking Richards. Yes, her, our little Southern Belle. Well, I made her Southern. I know she wasn't in the show, but what can I say? I what can I say? I decided to give characters accents based on how I feel like they would grow up. That's me. But yes, our beloved Megan. You see, I'm the type of guy who, when he hears the words on IMDb or Screen Rant, when finding out that there's a new adaptation, and the human characters in the latest Transformers movie will be played by, you could have that being Patrick Stewart, and I would go, ugh. Because, really, 9 times out of 10, when it comes to these movies, the human characters outshine the characters you are trying to watch. Heck, this happened in the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles movie recently. April O'Neil was there as the main character, and the Turtles were just background fodder. So, yeah. You're telling me that I have a G1 story, but with a G4 story, but oh, Mega's there. Yeah, I'm going to be not only rolling my eyes, but I'm going to be looking at the camera and start running away. So yeah, you had to put your best effort to not only get me to care about her, but to actually get me to accept her and to like her. Because that's another thing the human characters tend to do, I've realized. They tend to suck all the character development and motivation for themselves. And sadly, as much as I have been enjoying G1, it's not really that bad. Megan kind of is one of the ones who did that. I have a couple of pages on my DeviantArt about the G1 characteristics and their main characters, and all I can think of is I would have really liked to see some of those character motivations and their ideals and who they were. I would really like to see that, but nope. A lot of the times we don't always get to see that, and the main time we do is during one of those, sadly very few, slice of life episodes. Which, by the way, my favorite, surprisingly, is the Rock Dog one. And also on a side note, I'm really starting to like Baby Ribbon and Ribbon's mother-daughter relationship. It's just so sweet, cute. So, basically, for me, this fic would have fell apart if you did not make Megan likable, relatable, or an outstanding character. You would have lost me. And after reading all this, after going through 37 chapters, I could say, you did, RK. Bravo. Bravo. Okay, everybody in the studio, let's hear it for him! Woo! I mean, I know that, well, somebody talked about the pacing with all these additional 29 chapters before we got to the main battle. Why wasn't this confrontation there? To that I say, because we needed all that time with Megan. We needed to spend time to get to know her as this sensible, resourceful, smart, snarky, kind of silly, modest young woman who has been through a lot. has been through so many adventures and now is thrust right back into the hero game. We needed all that time to get to know her, to see that she's an authoress, which totally makes me relate to her. Which, as a freelance writer, totally makes me relate to her. And kind of love her even more that, yes, she is one who's trying to write and trying to become a novelist. We get to see her as a mother. Not a perfect mom, but a loving mother who will admonish her kids when necessary. A loving wife who will tease her husband, and a great big sister who cares deeply. We also see her relationship with Luna and Celestia, see that, yes, she took care of them. We see that she's a caretaker, a woman who raises her horses and knows a thing or two about how to keep them alive and treats them not as a bunch of herd animals or a bunch of equines, even though they are, but treats them as, for want of a better term, people like her. We needed that time to see that she could be resourceful and make sure that she knows what she's getting into. Like, say, bringing out a friggin' shotgun and a couple handguns to a gala, knowing that, there is a good chance she might have to use them. Or bring a couple of pistols on a small little trip, knowing that, hey, there might at one point be an evil centaur ready to kill me. So that way, by the time we get to moments like where Megan feels useless, we don't end up scoffing at it. We hug her and go, it's alright. Or when she gets kidnapped, we actually care about her getting kidnapped. I mean, without it, it would have just been like trying to talk to a foreign guy who doesn't know who George Washington is. George Washington's been kidnapped! So? Well, he founded America. So? I'm French. I don't care about you Americans. That's the sad truth. Unless we have a connection with the character, I could care less if they're Celestia's brother or sister, or if they're closely connected to Celestia. I need to care. And that's what this fic did. But it didn't just make her all that. It also showed that she wasn't a damsel in distress. By giving her moments where she broke out of T-Rex hold or kills a couple of shoutboats like they were nothing. Later on, we're going to see more moments of awesome with her. I think one of the things that helped me love this was the fact that this is a universe combining some of my favorite properties, Transformers and Transformers being one of those. But I think even without that, giving Megan such a character and making her such an entertaining watch, I would have enjoyed it any other way. This fic gave us a chance to explore what if Hasbro was nice enough to combine all its properties like Marvel does. What would happen if the bots worked with the Joes? What would happen if ponies could connect? It gave us all of this. Arcade Striker mentions on a blog he thinks that this is the best G1 and G4 crossover ever. And seeing that I have read 4 of them before, and I have been there, I have to say, I agree. Well, okay. It is the best alongside, if you count Pony POV. I have read maybe 4 of these. Yeah, 4. I gotta say, this is the best. I mean, Pony POV does a really excellent job of mixing the two histories together, doing a descending timeline, showing off how one generation led to a next, with the third generation getting wiped out by Chronically, that type of thing. But this one does it the best. No Mad Celestia. I'm going to try talking about that fic down to a minimum. No same plots, and definitely no evil Megan just using the Rainbow of Light to mind control ponies. Yes, there is a fic out there like that. It's on fanfics.net. Don't try to look it up. I have no idea what its title is, and quite frankly, I don't want to know. But this one, yeah, it's the best. One of the best. And Tornado, in comparison to Tornado Fire Hoses cycle, yeah, that one's pretty good. The descending timeline is interesting. And A Mighty Demon Slayer grooms some ponies. Some of you people might like it, and some of you people might be interested, but beyond it being a good deconstruction of the child hero, it's sadly not my thing. Other people might like it, but it's not me. It's my personal fit. So yeah, this sucker is the best. It gives you so many feelings and gives you everything you need. A good ship, great characters, awesome moments, and the main six being heroes as they always are. Do I have a few downsides and disagreements with it? Well, yeah. I mean, if I took the time, I probably could find something to disagree with Fallout Equestria. And one of my few disagreements with this fic, Pinkie Pie doesn't nearly get enough screen time. I mean, throughout the fic, she pops up in a few scenes, but it's more like, "Hi, I make toys, bye." Even at the Grand Gallery Gallus, he's like, "Hi, bye." That is it. That is her main scene. That is all she does. And other complaints? Gee, um, I know I will think of them soon. Okay, I know I sound like I'm just only guessing, but I am. I try to actually think of. Throughout this whole entire live read, I did try to honestly think of a downside that I could post on this part of the fic where I could say the downsides of this fic are. And beyond Pinkie Pie, that's all I got. That's all I got for here. I mean, I can't really say I want more Autobots to show up because that wasn't their story. I can't say, well, I kind of wish so we could see some more swordplay. But not every pony fic I read has to have Celestia and Luna wielding swords like bosses. And I can't really say, well, I wish the main six had done more because they did more. And the fight with T-Rex went as long as it needed to. Each of the main six got to do what they needed to do. Pinkie Pie and Applejack tie him up. Rarity and Twilight get to take him down with magic, and Fireside and Rainbow Dash get to do some damage. Here's Horsey goes, I really can't think of anything that I can say that is really bad. So, yeah. Arcade Striker started up with a universe with this. The Hasbro verse. And for the first fic in a universe, this was something else. This was truly grand and glorious. This was an awesome tale. Especially about one Megan Richards. And at the end of all this, we see a woman who, at first, thought she couldn't do anything, thought that she was useless, thought that she couldn't help any pony, especially against a centaur, has now grown up. Grown up to become a hero, grown up to be a wonderful human, and grown up to be a champion, and has now grown into a hero. And most miraculous of all, you did something I thought I would never do. Something that I thought would have been impossible. You made me care for, and enjoy a human character. You made me actually and want to see more of Megan Richards. And that is an amazing accomplishment. So yeah, one excellent job with this fic. Bravo. Brav freaking vo. Everybody, clap along with me now. Bravo, man. Thank you. Join me tomorrow for when we present to you one of my top 12 favorite fanfics of fanfiction. Well, a trailer. All my life, I've wanted to fly, but I don't have the wings, and I wonder why. I can't break away. Most Pegasi figure out flying easy enough. Heck, some of them figure out how to do it before they even get their cutie marks. But not me. I couldn't do it. No matter how hard I tried, I couldn't even hover. Not even for more than a few seconds anyway. Not even Rainbow Dash, greatest flyer in all of Equestria, could help me. We tried everything, and I failed time and time again. Nobody could have helped, and every time I failed. Until finally I was ready to give up. I'd never be able to do it. No pony would ever be able to help me to fly. Until one day, someone did. Tomorrow, Equestrians light the sky on fire. I'll see you next time. Oh, one more thing. Spike and Meilong, totally forever. I'm so totally shipping those two. See you later, everybody!